Saw here, and I'm glad that you are watching the Hangout. And tonight, our topic is going to be on how to create more for you and your business. Now, whether you are a business person that own your business, or whether you are just an employee working, well, I shouldn't say just, you're never just an employee. Whether you're an employee working in a company, we all have a part that we play in our role that we want to contribute more and want to do more. So tonight our hangout is going to be on how do we create more? And when we talk about creating more, then I would look at the opposite there and say, what is stopping us from creating the result that we are looking for? Now, whatever that result might be, I'm not saying that it has to be a figure or an amount of money or whatever the case may be. It may be just simply a sense of fulfillment, a sense of satisfaction. How do we create more in our life, and how can we create more in our business? What is stopping us from doing that? Now, I've been giving this topic a lot of thoughts, and one of the things that come up to me, which probably a lot of you would also experience at one point, will be something called fear or doubt, hesitation. Those familiar words. Maybe it happens too often that we, label everything fear or doubt. However, that was something that popped into my head because many times when we consider jumping into a business venture or a business opportunity, one of the emotion that we might experience will be fear or doubt. So in this case, I would like to look at this fear and doubt. How do we handle this? How can we handle fear and doubt when this happens, when we are looking at an opportunity or a business? First of all, I would ask this question: is fear or doubt something real? Yes, someone might say, yes, that's real because I'm feeling it. Well, then I'm going to ask is that feeling really yours? Have you ever questioned that you maybe experience fear or doubt that may not be yours at all? Now, a little while ago, when someone presented that to me, I'm like, what do you mean? Like, of course it is real. I mean, of course it's mine. I experience it. However, when I look at it deeper, as someone that works with the subconscious mind a lot, I know one thing. 95% of what I do, what I think, how I act, how I make decisions are influenced by my subconscious mind. And I also know very well that my subconscious mind is something that is used to store memory from the past, things that happened in the past, and my brain, faithfully record the memory, the event, and created a memory. So when something happened new, what happened is my brain, my mind will automatically goes to the file in the past. And my memory, my mind will go like to my mind in the past and say, well, what has happened in the past? What kind of data do I have? And pull the information from there and draw that information from there. And based on the information from the past, my mind, my cognitive mind, then make a decision based on the past experience and say, well, maybe I don't want to do this because in the past I had this negative experience. Or, oh my gosh, I lost a whole bunch of money in my last business venture. Well, yes, that's something that happened in the past. But what our cognitive mind, our conscious mind is making decision was based on a different time, different space, different experience that I have before, and make that decision on my current situation, which isn't fair and isn't really valid. So one of the best things that I realized and I discover from learning this new technique that I use is questions. I ask a lot of questions. Is this really emotions, mine, or feelings that I think I have? Does it belong to me? It may not necessarily belong to me. Why? Because I am someone that, like, well, let's put it this way. Um, my mind, my brain is a broadcaster and a receiver, right? So I broadcast message and I receive message. So what happened is my brain is actually receiving information from people around me, from the surrounding, from my neighbors, from people everywhere, because it's in the air. The energy is in the air, and the message and the thoughts and all the noise is in the air. Well, I could very easily pick up someone else's fear. And more so, I could easily pick up experiences from my parents, like my mom, my dad, that conditioned me. And I bought into that feelings and emotions and believe it that's mine. Well, if it is not mine, I have a right to drop it and get rid of it. I don't need to buy into that story. So one of the nicest thing and best thing that you could do is when you experience a fear is to ask the question, is it really mine? And if it is not, I'm just going to drop it and return it and say, no, thank you. Just like someone handed you a gift, you have a right to say, yes, I'm going to say thank you. Or you have a right to say, no, thank you. I don't need it. So one of the things I would suggest is when you experience fear, doubt, hesitation, any type of emotion that is not serving you, question it. Does that belong to me? Is that something that served me? And if so, maybe you want to consider keeping it. But if it is not serving you, when you realize it's not yours. Now you might say, okay, how do I know it's mine or not? It's actually very simple because I really encourage people to look into that and start practicing it. Is we all are a person that can access our feeling and get an answer to us very easily. So whenever you experience something, all you need to do is just quiet yourself, quiet your mind, and just go, is this mine? And then listen. Now, we have learned to move away from trusting our feeling. And instead of trusting our feeling or our awareness, we sort of instantly say, I don't know. Like many times my client, I ask them, well, what do you get? I don't know. That's the first response they say. And I say, well, okay, why don't you quiet your mind and just ask yourself, um, does this belongs to me? Is this emotion mine? And listen and see if you get a yes or a no. If you get a no, then you know this is not your emotion. You can make a choice whether to keep it or just to drop it and say, thank you very much. I don't need it. And I return it back to you. And then ask your question again. Now, the key is once you decide the fear is not yours or the doubt is not yours, it's so much easier for you to move forward and then ask the next question. What would it be like? And ask, like, let's say you have to make a decision on a business. So you can say, business, well, what would my business be like? Would I create more if I make a decision to go into this business venture? So all you need to do is just ask, will this business create more for me if I go into this business? And then just listen and then wait for the answer that you get. And it's going to be yes or no. Now, don't allow yourself to go into I don't know, because that's a way for you to avoid. What you have done is you have given up your choice by choosing not to choose and by choosing saying that I don't know. Well, rather than that, you want to find out the answer. So why not just ask yourself, well, business, if I joined you, if I go into this business, will I create more? Yes or no? And if you hear the yes, you know what? Trust that and go into it. Sometimes I find that what is stopping us from creating more is we want to know everything. We want to have all our ducks lined up. We want to know how much money we're going to make from this business. We want to know how much money we're going to generate, how long, when, and all these details. The fact of the matter is, if you put these parameter into making a decision, you're stopping yourself from making choices, because whatever answer that you anticipate may or may not materialize. So let's say you ask the question of saying, um, if I join this business, will it make me $5,000? Let's say that's your commission from the sale that you could get and you were anticipating to get. Well, what if the business like this particular sales did not lead you to a $5,000 commission or sale? It leads you to a $50 sale. Well, is that a bad thing? Well, you may say, yeah, it's kind of disappointing that I get $50. Well, what is the referrals that you could get from there? Or maybe down the road, someone else will introduce you to someone else, but maybe not immediately within the week. But someone is going to refer you down the road that is going to bring you $10,000. So when you ask a question very specific in regards to, well, will I make this kind of money, or how long will I achieve this goal, you're limiting yourself. And when you make a decision, when you make a judgment on something like, if I don't make $5,000, then that means it's not good. Or if I don't make $10,000 from here, then it is not good. Well, that conclusion that you make put a stop to every other possibility that come to you. Well, maybe this business that you go into did not deliver you the income that you want, but it delivered you the opportunity to meet someone who is going to play a very important role in another aspects of your life, or end up introducing you to something else that is going to bring you the result that you desire. So when you ask a question, be careful in how you ask the questions and whether you are limiting yourself in the way you phrase the question. Rather, ask yourself, what if it's not about making money? Would I still go into this business? Or what if it's not about making money? Would I be interested in doing this? See, these type of questions will actually lead you to more awareness. When you have awareness, you can have a better understanding of where you stand and where you are. And then from there, you can ask another questions. The more awareness you have, the more choices you create. However, I'm also here not asking you to just keep asking question and then end up doing nothing. Because at the end of the day, if you don't make a choice, you will never have further awareness. Choice create more possibilities for you. And if you have to wait for all the ducks to line up, you restrict yourself to a very, very small possibility. And it could be so small that it may be, I don't know, 10, 15 years before it happened, or it may never happen. So whenever you want to create more in your life, you need to make choices. And there is another thing that people seems to have a misconception about decision. They seem to think that decision is very much a final thing. Decision is not final. I know we have heard quotations saying, you know, like, oh, what was that? Success, success is a decision away. Okay, so yes, success is a decision away. Why? Because without making a choice, you're never going to have success or opportunity to begin with. So yes, making a decision on something allows you to make a choice. And by making a choice, you open the door to new possibilities. However, let's not make that choice so heavy. And I think most of us fail in life in making some choices is because they they get this pain surrounded, or this heaviness surrounded with that decision that they're going to make. It's going to be like, oh my gosh, I put this amount of money in, or I'm going to put this amount of money in. Um, oh, this is heavy duty. I can't afford to lose, and I got to think, I got to make sure what is my return of investment before I jump into it. Now, all these are valid points to bring up, to have your return of investment, understand how much time you are going to invest, and whether you are going to commit to the product or the company, or even to yourself, or even personal a decision that you're making here. All these are valid, but at the end of the day, when it comes to making a decision, don't make it as if this is life and death. It is not. You make a decision and you can always make a change. And one of the things we have heard a lot of time is like people talk about, um, the plane flying to a destination. Over 90% of the time, the plane is out of course, and then eventually, make the adjustment and get to the destination. So one of the things, rather than thinking about uh, what if this decision is wrong, rather than thinking about, oh my gosh, this decision is huge and is big, and I want to make sure that this is going to be good, this decision that I make. Rather than doing that, why don't you ask yourself this question? It's like, what if this is not about money? Would I do it? Like I mentioned before. And then ask another question. What would you do if you couldn't lose? What would you do if you know you couldn't lose? So you can, once you decide, you made a decision to go in, you have choices to ask different questions. And we have to take action in order to create a result. It doesn't make sense if we get paralyzed by all this heaviness from decisions that we make. Rather, we make a decision, see the result, make a change, make an adjustment, go make another decision, make a change, and make another adjustment. So anytime when you experience something like that and you realize this is not helpful to you, use one of the clearing statements that I mentioned before, and I'm going to mention again tonight. It's called the clearing statements. And what you do is just say good and bad, right and wrong, good, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. This is the clearing statements that help you clear all the preconditioned ideas that you have from the past, the judgment that you have about what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad, and all that, and just get rid of it and allow yourself to see it with a fresh pair of eyes and look at the situation and look at what possibility there is. At the end of the day, let's look at it this way. You are a creator. Whatever result that you are experiencing right now in your life, you are the creator of it. So if you created an outcome that you're not happy with or you're not satisfied with, and you're being a genius in creating that, obviously you can also create another desired result. Well, you might say, well, no, I've done it before and it didn't happen, so I must have, I don't know, I must make bad luck, or I carry bad luck with me or something, and I'm afraid I don't want to make any more decision anymore. Yeah, you can do that. That's a choice that you made, and you made a decision to play small. Or you can say, how can I do it differently? What would be possible for me to turn the situation around? Now, every day we have heard business owners that fail in the business and turn their business around. I don't believe that the way they turn their business around is simply by working hard. They have to change their mindset somewhere along. Do I have to sit there and wait till my mindset is all changed and clear before I jump into anything? No, because you will not change unless you take action and then evaluate your action and then you make another course and change correction of course. So if, how about this? If you would take away A plus B equals C, which is a way of us, we learn this from our society, right? If you do this, then you're going to have this. So A plus B equals C. Well, that's a causal reality. Causal reality tells you that you have no alternative. It's like gravity. Okay, you pick up a pen, and because there is gravity, it's definitely going to drop. Well, thank God, with our plane and everything, we know now that actually you can still break the law. The law of gravity is only good as long as you don't break them or you don't know the secret to break it. But if you know the secret, then you can fly and you can break the law of gravity. So A plus B does not necessarily equal C. How many places you have drawn conclusion and make a judgment, have an expectation, created a separation from yourself to whatever decision that you made or the situation, and come to that conclusion and stop yourself from moving forward in life and creating something different. And just because today things didn't work, it doesn't mean tomorrow it's not going to work. So if we can learn to drop the causal reality and drop the A plus B equals C, what can we possibly create? Now, anything that doesn't allow you to do that, we destroy and uncreate it all. Right or wrong, good or bad, pot, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Now, sometimes, oh, by the way, if any one of you have any questions, by all means, you can type your questions on the side and post your question to me, and I'll be happy to answer some of your questions here as well. So in the meantime, I'm going to say, now, when we ask questions, we're going to watch what kind of questions we ask to invite the type of answer. And one of the things is, a lot of time, people will ask questions like, how do I get this work? Why is this happening? Why perhaps may not be the best question to ask. How perhaps may also be not the best type of question to ask. Why do I say that? Because how is a question of looking for an answer. The truth of the matter is there is no 100% solid answer. There are only possibilities. So rather than asking for how do I fix this problem or how do I correct this, ask the questions of what are the different ways I can do this? What possibilities can I create here to resolve this situation? Rather than finding out why it happens, does it really matter why? Actually, why put you back into the past? And most of us spend most of our time in the past and don't spend enough time being right here. And whatever you do right now is going to create your future. So if you make a decision on something and you don't see a result in 2 months or 3 months, does that mean that business is not working? Or does that mean that you don't know how to do the business? Or you have to buy into the fear. It's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? How am I going to come up with the rent money, or how am I going to pay my mortgage? Oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? It's so embarrassing. You know, I invested this much money and I told everybody about my business and I'm going into it, and now I can't find anybody to work with me, or I can't create the result that I thought I was going to create. Well, all these, you know what? Those are the things that is happening to hold you back, from moving forward. It's the stories that is telling you and talking to your mind. Are you going to buy that story? And when someone say that to you, why not you ask the question? That's an interesting point of view that you have this point of view. Or why don't you ask yourself, where am I getting this story from? Whose story am I buying? Is it really mine? Today it didn't work. It doesn't mean tomorrow it won't work. So what can I do differently tomorrow to create a different result? A lot of time people, and I myself has experienced it too, okay, where I'm looking at, okay, what else can I create in, let's say, for example, marketing myself. It's like, what can I do? And a lot of time we have a lot of expectation and saying like, oh, I've done this already, it didn't work. Well, oh, I've done that already, it didn't work. Rather than drawing a conclusion, why not ask yourself, okay, how can I do it? What can I do differently this time? Or what can I change in my attitude when I do it this time? What can I contribute differently when I do it this time? Because at the end of the day, when you do something, it's not just your action alone. It's actually the energy that you put out, the intention that you put out, and the commitment that you make to the project. How committed are you to your own success? Have you ever asked yourself this question? And have you asked yourself, what are you willing to do in order to get the success that you desire? What are you willing to do? Is it whatever it takes? You may say yes, but now you're going to ask the next question. What are you willing to do? Are you really willing to do everything? What if there is no money coming in for 6 months? Are you still willing to keep going? What if you have to sell your couch, your bed? Are you willing to keep going? Because many people do not succeed overnight. It takes you time to keep going, 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 going. And what are you willing to give? Or what are you willing to sacrifice in order to achieve that, to make that? So ask yourself that question. What are you willing to give up? And the best way, rather than focusing on what happened on, yesterday or what happened the day before that didn't work, the most beneficial question you can ask is what can you do differently? And I mentioned last time about having a mission statement. I really, really believe if you have a very clear why, what is your purpose? What is your focus? What is your mission? What drives you? What is your why? Many people say that. What is your why? If you're very clear about that, that will draw you and ground you when things are challenging. And then you'll be able to ask other questions that will propel you to create the result that you desire. Now, another thing is, a lot of time when we are in business or when we make a decision, we put emphasis on something. Now, I'm just going to use the example of business again, in this case. So a lot of time, how many times people make money as one of the most important element in their decision making? Now, you might say, yeah, okay, of course I want to, because when I'm doing business, I want to make money. If I don't make money, what's the point of me running a business? Yes. However, if you base all your decision on making money, when you're playing it being a significant, okay, when you make that a significant, anytime when you put something into significant, again, it will stop you. It will hold you back because it doesn't flow. The energy doesn't flow anymore. It's like, oh my gosh, this is it. I gotta hold on to it tight, and this has to happen in order for it to work. And I gotta have this result in this and this and this time frame, and otherwise everything is gonna fall apart. Well, whenever you play any significant in your business, and money is probably one of the most common one where people look at it, it again stop you. How many times when you make a decision, the decision is based on money? Now, rather than that, is there another way for us to make a decision? Of course there is. You can always ask, will this expand my business? Now, when I ask for expansion, I'm not putting a time frame to it. I'm asking, would it lead me to that expansion? And if you get the answer is yes, you know what? Take action. And then go to the next step and see how you feel and see what you get, what kind of result you get from there. Any decision that you make is not final. You can make a decision now and 2 days later make an adjustment and change. And when you have the attitude that this decision is not final, but I do know where is my destination. See, there is a difference. There is a purpose and mission that I'm aiming for, and I know that. However, I'm taking steps. And the steps that I'm taking is not a final decision. I can make changes. And when you make decision based on that, it's so much lighter. And one of the things you can make decision is about asking yourself yes or no. Another way you can ask is just close your eyes, quiet down, and just say light or heavy. So one of the things you can do right now to learn to listen to yourself is like ask yourself and say, body, it is healthy for me to drink paint. And then ask your body, truth, light or heavy? It is healthy for me to drink paint. Now to me, I feel heavy. And then I'm going to ask another question and say, body, it is healthy for me to drink water. Light or heavy? And I feel light. So whenever you come to a decision making, you can always ask yourself, because at the end of the day, we are an energy being and we have an awareness rather than relying on feelings, because sometimes feelings can trick us. See, feelings could be emotions that you pick up from your parents that taught you, or from even your spouse or colleagues or friends that are around you. However, your awareness will never steer you wrong. Now, what is your awareness? Every one of us have awareness. You know, you remember the time when you are standing in a hall talking to someone face to face, and then all of a sudden you decide, oh, you're going to turn around. Well, why do you turn around? Because your awareness give you a tap on the shoulder and say, hey, there is someone behind you looking at you or coming up to you. And you sense that. That's your awareness. And rather than relying on feelings, rely on your awareness. Think about it. Which one is faster? And which one is more accurate? It's awareness. Because feelings is a judgment. And feelings, you take ownership to it. And once you have that feeling, most people take ownership to it, I should say. then you're going to have all the voices, and you draw the conclusion, and you start interpreting what that feelings means to you. And it may not be accurate. However, an awareness is like instant. When someone says something to you, you get an awareness. And that awareness, you don't need to analyze. It's like right there. It's instant without any analysis from the mind. It gives you the purest and cleanest way to make decision. So, again, what would you choose if you knew you couldn't lose? That perhaps is one of the best questions you can ask when you are making a decision, because you take that heaviness out of it, because you know that you couldn't lose. You're definitely going to win. So what would you do? You'd be more bold. You'd be more creative. You'll be willing to do differently. You wouldn't worry about how people look at you. You wouldn't worry about the approval that you need to seek from your family or relatives. And by the way, if you do have that emotion come up and you recognize it, again, send it back to the senders with consciousness attached, and then right or wrong, good or bad, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. It's very simple, and we can deal with that and get rid of it and move on. Now, what are some of the things that some of the things that I realized that sometimes could hold myself back personally is obviously one of the common one, which is being uncomfortable. Okay, like doing something that is unfamiliar. Well, just speaking about, let's say, use the example right here with this one here, doing the Google Hangout. I did the Google Hangout, maybe, was it a week, or I can't even remember the time frame anymore, maybe a week or two ago. And that was my first Google Hangout. And I was just so nervous, worrying about, well, what am I going to say? How am I going to come across? I think perhaps most of the time would be I was concerned about how people will look at me, how people maybe will judge me or evaluate me. And as a matter of fact, I think most people couldn't care less. They watch, they have their opinion, but at the end of the day, nobody sent an email and say, you know, you're lousy or whatever. So actually, I got a few people, you know, giving me positive feedback, which I appreciate, and thank you very much. Everything was just my conclusion, my judgment, my expectation that was totally wrong. So what are the things that you are willing to do, or what are the things that you are not willing to do when it comes to your business? Have you ever considered writing it down and go through the list? This is one of the nice things you can do. Whatever decision that you need to make, I always like to, you know, draw columns and put on one side of the column. Let's say you have to resolve a situation. And on one side of the column, you write down the things that you think you're willing to do and are able to solve the situation, resolve the problem, the situation. And then on the other side of the column is what are the things that has been suggested to you that you are not willing to do? Or what are some of the things that you think are possibly possible, but it's not comfortable for you and you're not willing to do? Write it down. And then go through the list. Go through both of them and ask, is this mine or is it someone else? Now, when I say is it someone else, I'm talking about, is it you're doing it because your mother didn't do this? Or let's say your mother wants to be a singer and couldn't be a singer, and you're good in singing. Is it you end up wanting to pursue the singing career because it was your mother's unfulfilled dream or your father's or something that your grandparents told you about or someone of significance put that thought into your head. Ask yourself, is that yours? Cross out the ones that does not belong to you. You know why? One of the ways to guarantee misery is to do things to please others, whether we consciously know about it or subconsciously. Because at the end of the day, you will not get the result. And you'll be miserable because it's not fulfilling. See, when you're doing something that someone else planted a seed in you and it does not belong to you, no matter how people perceive you as successful, you won't feel happy. You won't feel fulfilled. You won't feel joy. I guess perhaps that's the reason why so many people after, I have met so many of them in networking group, or especially in my industry now, where people are very successful in another industry for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And then after that, they said, oh, I give up my career. I was so successful there and I make a lot of money. But you know what? I just don't feel that. You know, I'm not excited anymore. And I just gave it up. Well, I myself was one of them. Okay, I myself was one of them. I actually ended up giving up my career that was, you know, giving me very good financial reward. And I end up not doing it anymore and look for something else because I was doing it for the wrong reason. See, whenever you do something for the wrong reason, you will never get fulfilled. You will never have satisfaction. And you always at the end feel lost. So why don't you make a list? Ask yourself what you believe can be done, that you're comfortable to do. And even with that, check whether those are really yours. If it is not, cross it out. Same thing on the other side. And then at the end, you're going to have a list that hopefully, truthfully belongs to you. And then ask yourself, what is the significance that I am creating here that is stopping me from creating the life that I desire? And anything that doesn't allow you to do that, you destroy and uncreate it all. Right or wrong, good or bad, pop, pot, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. Just get rid of it. It's so simple. Get rid of it. Make a decision and say, what can I do differently? What is the first step? What is my first step that I can take? Which is the first action that I can take in this project? And just step into that energy and just do it. Just go for it. And then make your adjustment and change your course and just keep going and navigating. You can create so much more for yourself when you're aligning with yourself. See, when you are true to yourself, you're being you. When you're living someone else's dream, when you are buying the story from other people, when you're taking action to prove something, you will always find it very hard and it will always be painful and it will always be a struggle. So this is one of the ways that you can ask questions and help yourself find out what are really yours and where do you want to go from there. And also find out where are you buying stories. See, the more stories that we let go, the easier it is. At the end of the day, you don't really are concerned about how they look at you anymore, because you realize that's not mine, that's not mine, that's not mine. The person that was concerned about how I may appear to you, that voice was not mine. And the minute that I recognize, well, that's not mine, I just drop it. And then I'm like, it's okay. Nobody's judging me. I am doing what I'm doing. I love doing what I do, and I'm contributing. I want to contribute to people, and whoever is ready for the information will come to me, and I'm here to contribute. And I am fine the way I am. The minute that I let go of that noise, that belief that doesn't belong to me, I'm free to choose. And I can choose what makes me feel good or what excites me. And that's what life is all about. It's just creating, 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 creating. We are a creator. The minute that we don't create, that's when we start dropping. That's when disease happens. Because we are creator, we can't stop. We constantly are creating. So rather than creating things that are miserable, why not create something that is fun for me? And another thing, one of the things that you can ask is, what is fun for me to do? Like when you have a business here, we have to constantly think of new approach to talk to clients or new ideas to stand out and make ourselves known to the public. Well, what is fun for you to do? Now, a lot of people go to networking. Is networking meeting fun for you? If it is not, then don't force yourself to do it. Ask yourself the question, well, what would be fun for me to do? What else is possible for me? What is possible out there for me? Ask the question. When you ask, you get new answer coming to you, a new possibility coming to you. And that way you can continue to create more. Now, another thing that I learned in terms of business is, have you ever considered that the business is an entity of its own? Rather than looking at what can I get out of that business, the business is like an it. Rather than looking at business as it, have you considered looking at your business as an entity who has a spirit just like us? And what would that spirit like you to do? What is it asking for from you? Now, this might be something new to some of you and say, what do you mean my business has a spirit? What are you talking about? It's I don't know. I mean, I'm selling, I don't know, I'm selling a phone or whatever. That's my business. What do you mean? Well, anything and everything that we created, once you create it, it becomes its own entity. It has its own life form. Because if it doesn't have life, that business would be dead. You won't be making money. So it has its own life form. So what you want to do is, rather than keep taking, because we know that, and in any business, when we are taking all the time, it's not going to work. So why not ask the question, what can I contribute to you today? What would be fun for me to contribute to you today? Business. What would you like me to contribute to you so that you can expand exponentially? I think today I have someone ask the question and say, what can I do to market my business so that it can grow exponentially? Well, perhaps we can ask our business and just say, really, business, what would you like me to do? What can I do to contribute to you so that you can grow exponentially? And you might say, you're nuts. I don't hear things, you're nuts. No, you don't necessarily hear things. You may just have an awareness and say, well, wait a minute. Maybe this will be fun to do. What about this? What about that? Well, that's your awareness. follow that awareness and take the steps and do it. And then discover what's next. What else is possible? Ask yourself the question, what else is possible? You make a list here, okay? There's 10 items here. All right, what else is possible? What can I do differently? Keep asking the question. When you ask question, it will come to you. Whether it will come to you when you are reading a book, or it will come to you when you're speaking to a friend, or it will come to you in your sleep, whatever the case may be, it will come to you. The only way you can discover more is when you ask more questions rather than drawing conclusion. So what you can ask the question like, what energy, space, and consciousness can I be to create whatever that you want to create? Because think about it, what energy does it require you to be there? What kind of consciousness, what kind of space does it require in order for you to create the result that you are choosing? Ask questions. Okay? When you ask question, you create result that is beyond your expectation. Now, I talked about earlier about choices, right? When we make a decision, we create choices. And out of choice, we have more awareness. So the key here is whenever you see yourself hesitating in making choices, you might want to just get rid of that right there and then. Because think about it. Whatever we perceive to be, like fear or whatever the case may be, that's a perception. And that's not real. So you can just remind yourself right there and say, pot and pock all the fears and doubt that I have, and say, what would I choose if fear is not around? What would I choose if I cannot lose? Because fear is about losing. And you can go keep asking, keep asking, keep asking. I've done that. And then when you have fear, another option you can do is, interesting point of view, I have this point of view. I don't know if you have played around with this suggestions I gave you in our last Hangout, is play around with interesting point of view, I have this point of view, because I've been playing around with it and it really, really changed your energy. When you first have a point of view, it will bring up an emotion. And the minute that you see, if we take into ownership of that emotion, then we take it into our body. But if I sense that emotion come up and right there and then I say, interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Because at the end of the day, it's a point of view that bring up your emotion. So the fact that you change it and bring it to a question and say, interesting point of view, I have this point of view about this being wrong and therefore I get angry, you create a distance between that decision that you made. And then the next time you say the same thing, interesting point of view, I have this point of view, again, you moved yourself further back from that charge of energy. And you move it back, eventually the charge of the energy completely dissipate. And then your mind is clear to have new thoughts and new possibility and new ideas, and you can make new choices at that point and say, well, what would I create if I know I couldn't lose? And then see what comes up there. Now, I'm looking at the time here. It's coming up to winding up the presentation here. But what I like to do actually is to invite you to come and join me, if you like, on a 6-month journey where I will work with you one-on-one and to explore what are the different aspects of you that we can discover through this journey. And I will use different tools. I use different techniques, tools to help my client to discover the true essence of who they are. And some of the techniques that I use is to shift belief system. Some of them is to change your subconscious beliefs about things. And then some of the technique that I use is just to help you create new awareness about yourself and help you to have a new perspective about who you are. It's a fun journey. It's not about looking into the past of why things happen. It's about identifying and recognizing that those are the things that happened in the past. And I have an option now to choose to continue turning my head to the back and keep looking at what happened in the past, or start looking forward and seeing what are the new possibility that I can create and what are the steps and actions that I can do to create it. It's about looking forward and thinking ahead and seeing the future and creating the future and not focusing on the back. So it's a 6 months commitment, and we're going to have fun discovering and finding out about who you are. And I invite you to, get in touch with me and we can speak in detail. And actually right now, any one of you who is curious about the detail of what I have to offer, I like to invite you to a half an hour meeting with me, and we'll chat on the phone to talk about exactly what I can possibly offer to assist you on the journey of discovering you and helping you on the journey of creating more, having more fun, achieving more in life, achieving more for yourself, for your family, and also for your business. And I'm going to end our hangout here tonight. And I want to thank you for showing up at the hangout and watching this video. And in the meantime, feel free to contact me on my website. My website is wendysaw.com, or you can email me at wendy@wendysaw.com. Again, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again. See ya.